Welcome to the Booze and the Bees.
Welcome to the Booze and the Bees. I'm Ella.
I'm a boo.
And I appreciate you listening.
And she's a bee.
I'm the queen bee.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
She makes honey.
I actually don't even like honey.
I like honey. And you're a bee. So that works. Yeah. All right, so here we are, episode 2.
Episode what?
Of today. Episode 2 of today.
Also, I don't really want to advertise that. I kind of want to...
Oh, it's episode 1 of today because every day is a new day with you and me together.
So, I think this podcast we're going to talk about relationship stuff.
Oh, that is what we were talking about. I'm so out of it today.
Yeah, he did a workout,
3-hour
workout. I freaking messed up my back.
Yeah.
Stinking.
So we did a little bit of stretching.
A little bit of stretching.
We're really young for having
back issues.
Some back issues. When I was 29, I hurt my back, and it was a really bad thing, really bad. Then I lost a lot of weight since then, a ton of weight, and I thought that would help my flexibility. I thought my belly was too big for me to bend over, and it wasn't. It's you've actually got nerves and muscles that get tight as you age. And stretching has really helped a lot. So I've had bad sciatica twice, and I haven't had it since I've been doing the slant board stretching that I learned from ATG, the knees over toes guy.
Nice. Shout out.
And that's, shout out to that guy. He's awesome. So it's definitely helped a lot. And I showed her some of those stretches that you can do, but it doesn't fix you instantly. But
unfortunately.
It definitely will start to help if you keep doing them,
It's an awful pain to have back pain. And I remember getting patients because I used to work for a neurologist, and back pain is the hardest thing to fix.
Oh, yeah. And it's one of those things where it's if you look at Mr. Pilates, he's 90 and he literally bends himself in half, to the floor. And he's you're only old when your back stops working. And it's that's what I would like to be at 90. My dad hobbles around. My mom hobbles around, and they've got a solid 20 years until they hit that old. And that guy's breaking himself in half and then jumping back up and then going for a jog. And you're dude's crazy. So it just proves it works. To be flexible will just keep you longer and happier longer. So we've started now. We definitely weren't the healthiest people for a long time.
No, but it's all about we're getting better every day, and it's cool to see. And y'all could watch that progress too. I'm sure, go back to old videos, but we posted it. You could see his weight loss journey and my mental state has gotten a lot better.
I think that's a good segue into the relationship thing too.
Yeah, because definitely couldn't have done it without each other.
Yeah, and that's definitely a big thing too. You shouldn't need a relationship, or you shouldn't need something great to get you to want to be the better version of yourself.
No, but I don't see anything wrong with that, because it's there's a lot of people who are I have to be my best version of myself first before finding the love of my life. And I'm just glad that I wasn't like that, because if I had to heal all this trauma first, I don't think I would ever have. And
then you also got to think about age. There is an unlimited time. There's a certain period of time you do things
and there's never a time when you're perfect either.
That's
you're
exactly
I'm ready.
it. You should have a partner to build with, right? And I've said this early on. It was I don't believe there's one perfect person for you. I think there's a perfect person at the perfect time for you to grow with. That's perfectly for you. No one would have been a better person than you. It's not to say, oh, well, if you were in Amsterdam on that day at, midnight on Christmas, it would have been a 10% better compatibility match in 20 years. Who would know? I think this is a perfect match because you're the perfect person for me at the perfect time, and nothing could have been better than that.
But I don't get what you're saying, though. There's no perfect person. But I feel you're contradicting yourself.
I'm saying there's no perfect, you know how there's Princess Disney movies or whatever, and there's one prince and he's from some faraway town and they're just the perfect, knight in shining armor, and there's only one of him out there. I think there's 50 princes, but only one of them went to the ball that day and found the slipper. And that means you're the perfect person because you're there at the right time. But it's not like if that person had been someone else, it could have also been perfect, but it wouldn't have been perfect timing. So it's like, I think there's one perfect person at one perfect time, but there's not one perfect like prince out there. There's like 40 princes. But you got to put yourself in that position to find them and then be the person to get them at that time. And so it's like, don't ever think you missed your shot is what I'm getting at, right? You may have thought you found love and it was like my one true love and I could never get over it. But then we broke up because something happened. The time wasn't right. Like,
then that wasn't your true love.
And that's
that wasn't
the thing.
Your one and only. There is
exactly.
no one and only. Yeah, I feel what you're saying.
That's what I'm trying to get to. Is like, don't think it's like,
end all be all.
You're gonna that there's only one. There's so many billions of people. There's many, but there's only gonna be not to say there's only gonna be one ever. Some people get divorces and get back with someone else who's like the perfect person at that time. Who knows? That's not what I want to do. But I'm just saying.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm just saying that. Just be the best person you can be. You don't need a relationship to be the best version of yourself. But it definitely helps because you should find a partner to grow with. I mean, just think about all of human history. Do you think people like had it all together when they had to start traversing the plains at 14 on an ox-drawn carriage?
You also just can't do it. You can't learn something like on your own. Like, how are you going to learn to be a better communicator and learn how to get rid of like these negative thoughts in your head without like actually having someone to communicate that stuff with?
You need to do it. I can't get better at math by reading books. Unless I read math books.
Yeah.
But even then, I still have to do the problem on paper. Like I have to write it down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can read how to find love all day, but if you're not actually actively doing it.
Because there's like part of the battle is knowing what to do. The other part is doing it. You know? So having a partner definitely helps, obviously, to be the best version of yourself. And again, it just goes back to like, humans live longer than they ever used to. I mean, there was a period in time people used to live till they were 35. You think they had it all figured out when they had to like start making a family of 12 because like half of them didn't make it, you know, as they're going through life? I mean, no, they didn't know what they were doing. But
this conversation is taking a weird turn. I feel like we gotta get back on the relationship.
And that's part of the relationship part is that you're never ready and they had hard times and you kind of have to deal with it, right? You kind of have to move on. So it's like to say, I need to be the perfect version of me. You're actually becoming a less perfect version. Like every year you're not getting better. It just gets harder. So there's no point in waiting is what I'm saying. Like just go out there and put yourself out there and find someone who's where you're at and grow with them. Like we both weren't perfect. I was like obese and sad and like lonely and drank a lot. And you had a lot of traumas to go through. So we both weren't perfect, but we're both like getting better and we respect each other's journey and it's a different journey, but we're in it together. And it's been really good for us to learn how to be the best version of ourselves. And we're not perfect. And that's what's perfect about us in a relationship is that we can really work on ourselves and know that our partner has our back and supports our journey to be better.
Yeah.
And that our purpose isn't just like being happy, you know? Our purpose isn't to just like party and be happy all the time. It's to...
But like party doesn't mean be happy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of people can be happy as in just a ton of dopamine because they're partying all the time. They're doing things they shouldn't be doing. Taking substances they shouldn't be taking, and like you can be really happy. You're not going to live long, and as soon as all that hype dies down, you're not going to have a lot to show for it. So like long term, not very happy, but you can be happy on those things. But if you find a partner and find purpose and grow with them, you're going to have longer happiness, just not as much. It's hard because I'm trying not to use like adult terms.
What do you mean what adult terms?
Rug salesman. You can touch some rugs. You know, I don't know how to say it without like banhammer.
It's funny, we can talk about a lot of stuff. It's the clips. Like if there's a clip involving something I can't post on TikTok, like YouTube and podcasts, like their rules are a little bit more fair. Like we could talk about stuff as long as it's not the stuff like you said. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to get in trouble. But it's like Because I was looking at the Spotify rules just to make sure, and they're pretty like good as far
pretty
as
good.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll have to tell you more after the episode because I can't say tough. The stuff it says in there that we're not allowed to talk about. But it's usually not stuff we talk about.
Yeah, because what I was trying to get at is like you can be an addict and live a shorter life and be really, really, really happy on the needle, and then your time ends. You can be really happy, but did you live a life of purpose? Did you live a life that you can really say meant something to you? And like, it's doubtful. Obviously, there's so many people telling the stories of how it didn't really make their life better, even though they were happier because your dopamine spiked higher. You know, but it's not about having those massive spikes all the time and having this perfect dream life. It's about having struggles and working through them and overcoming challenges together. Like, nobody plays video games on the easiest mode. No one's out there doing the child put the square in the square hole block game to feel good anymore. They want more challenging games as they get older. So it's about working through those problems together that makes you a strong couple, and then not only makes you a strong couple, it just makes you a more fulfilled person. You know, I feel more fulfilled with more challenges than I ever used to have. You know, before having the responsibilities of a child and a partner in a larger place, you know, and having to live in a different neighborhood and near schools. And it's like, it's been much more difficult. And it's like, well, does much more difficult and much less freedom to go drink and party make my life worse? Absolutely not. It's much better than it's ever been.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like your life before sounded more difficult, like people stealing from you and like...
Yeah, but I mean, even if they stole from me, I had more money, but that's exactly it. It had no purpose. It was like loss for nothing. At least now it's like if I lose something like time or money, it's like dedicating towards something that actually gives you passion to do. You know, it gives you purpose to lose. And as long as you know that you're losing something for something, you're going to do it, because we lose time every minute that passes. It's gone. And so every minute that passes that you're doing something,
is that how time works?
Yeah. Some people don't take it like that. Every minute, a minute doesn't pass for them, and then years go by and you've done nothing, right? And so it's like if you're wasting minutes, like I was wasting minutes, but I had dollars and it meant nothing. Now I have no dollars and it's trying to figure out how to get those minutes back and use them in an important way. You got to lose somehow. It's hard to be obese. It's hard to work out. What difficulty am I going to choose? And you just accept that suffering is going to happen no matter what you choose, and choose the suffering that's going to get you the results that gives you drive and purpose. And that's been with you and Minnie. And it's been very difficult, but it's been difficult yielding much better results, and I'm much happier for it. And like it gives you something to look forward to. And like I say, I would like a relationship where you can say, I did it for 50 years, not a relationship that said, oh, I was happy for 10 and then I got a new one that made me happy again. I don't want that. I want to be driven for 50 years and say we worked through everything for that long, and we had a lot of tremendous hardships, and they were great because I got to work through them with you. And that would be a much better life.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I keep thinking of things to say in the middle of your rants, and then when you're done, I forget everything that I wanted to bring up. So I'm sorry if I'm like quiet after, because then I'm like,
oh, that's fine.
Taking it in, and I'm like, ooh, I'm thinking of something, and then I'm like trying to remember my thing and listen to you at the same time, and then I lose it.
It's hard for me to remember what I say. And
yeah,
so like
too. I've done that too. I do that all the time when I vlog. I'll literally be in the middle of a sentence, and then I'm like, I cannot remember where my brain was going. Like it just stopped. Like literally, what was I talking about? Yeah. Like what happened?
You know, they say it's like, okay, we'll wait for you to land, and you're like, okay, where's the runway? Where's the runway? I just can't land. I forgot. Where am I going? Let's just circle back around. You gotta circle a couple times before you land. You know.
I remember what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, it's funny. Like the challenges we are facing right now are definitely difficult, but they feel a lot easier with you. Like the stuff in the past, I definitely went through some hard shit too, but like it just seems like that was like a way harder time for me than now, which is like nice. And that's why I really want people to I really want to show people how great relationships can be. and also painting the light on like the hard times too, because it's like obviously we're not perfect and we've had like arguments and fights and not agreed on some, you know, decisions or whatever, and then like we always overcame it and communicated. And I feel like a lot of people are giving up on love, and like they're like, oh no, like it's just like not for me, like I don't want to have kids, you know, like I'll just like have my friends. And I'm just like,
your friends leave because they want to go have a family.
I get it. And like yeah. It feels like friends are never going to leave. It feels like you're always going to be able to make friends, but it really does happen. People keep growing. That's why you need a partner to grow with, or you're just going to feel like left behind.
And also, like, just here's the real litmus test. That means, like, here's the real test.
Litmus?
A litmus test. I don't know what litmus is, but that's what
like
people
Christmas,
say.
But like you're lit.
Nah, yeah, hey, litmus. Nice. That's dope. Let's do a litmus event. We'll call it the litmus test. And just like see how lit you are. You know, when they're like, who do you think is going to be the drunk is tonight? Yeah, okay, we'll do that. It'll be the litmus. Okay, we're way off target. Where was I saying? What was I doing?
You said litmus.
Litmus test. Oh yeah. How many 80-year-olds do you just like go hang with right now? Name one.
8-year-old?
80.
Oh, 80.
How many 80-year-olds do you, the audience who I'm talking to, how many
80
80-year-olds do you know and hang with? I'm just assuming our audience is between the ages of 20 and 35.
Yeah, it actually tells me it's like like 8. It's like 18 to 25.
Yeah. So there we go. How many of you hang with 80-year-olds?
Their grandparents, maybe?
Maybe. Like maybe. If you live in the same house, right? Like let's go. Okay, now go down. How many non-related 70-year-olds do you know? That you hang with and talk to on a regular basis.
I feel like I should be answering, but you're asking the audience. So,
do you know any
70-year-olds?
Yeah, that aren't like my dad.
I mean, I only knew old people back then when I was working for the Dr. D. For the
do you
neurologist.
consider people you work with like you're just like top-notch friends? Like those are the people you go to lunch with and like hang with?
No.
So when you guys are like,
point.
my friends will always be there, you don't know any old people, and they're gonna only find new friends at the home they live in. So who's gonna be there for them the most is their family. So picture yourself at 70. How many people are coming to hang out with you?
That was a weird way to...
No, that's the test. You're not going to have friends hanging out with you. You're going to have to...
friends with old people? No, because they don't have friends.
They don't have friends. They don't have friends. No, it's hard, babe. I have grandparents.
People have old friends, babe. They like have friends.
It's tough. It's a tougher world. You have like
know.
one or two.
I've never been old.
Yeah, my dad has like 2 friends that he hangs with.
We should interview some old people.
You know, well, I mean, my pops is an old person, but he's one of the most like charismatic people I know, and he knows people all over the country, but he gets to see them when, like, never.
I feel like your dad's always busy, always talking to somebody, always
like
doing
me.
something.
He's always doing something.
Yeah, so he's not a good example.
He's lonely.
Oh, because he's not married.
He's not with anybody.
He could be watching this.
He could be, and that's sad. And I wish the best.
Jeez. Well, look, I don't want to tell people like that if they're sad or not, and like say that because like
I don't know. Maybe he's stoked. Maybe he's stoked to be alone. I don't know.
Get your point though. Like
it's better
harder.
It's better to have your family around.
Have a family and try to grow. And I wish I could just have more kids thinking about it, because it's like, you know, the more odds you have of them being able to take care of you and not have to put all that pressure on Minnie. But we can't even afford to have another kid.
We gotta work on taking care of ourselves, because like that's something my parents never did a good job of, is planning their own retirement. And my siblings and I take care of them as much as we can, but it's really difficult. I mean, we can barely take care of us. You know, the economy's difficult. We were checking housing prices nearby, and they're like $700,000. These are not $700,000 houses. Like, they're not, for anybody watching, what you'd expect them to be here. They're like built in the 90s.
I don't get how we got to housing prices.
I'm just saying, it's too tough for people to go and take care of their parents. And then you also have to imagine, if your parents are split up, now they have 2 different rents. So how are your kids going to take care of your parents if you can't even take care of your own rent, and then you have to take care of two parents' separate rents? It literally makes no financial sense.
Yeah, so that's why we got to teach the young folk now how to find love, because it's the younger audience who watch us, not the older people where it's too late.
It's too late. Sorry.
We're helping that younger folk.
And that's why we were saying, like, there's the test is like, you don't hang with them. They don't get hung with that often. You know, it's a difficult time for a lot of old people who are alone and don't have big families. Like, my grandma is grooving because she had a ton of children. They're Irish Polish, are right off the boat. So they really got to it over here. They have a bunch of kids, and they all live near her. So they hang out with her, like, all the time. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. That's super cool.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want to be surrounded by family. And
yeah, that's my dad's favorite thing. Who does he visit more than anybody else? It's his kids and his grandkids. That's his favorite people in the world. It's his favorite thing to do. So, like, why wouldn't people just accept that? Like, people like that.
People don't like people anymore.
People don't like people. That's why you have to make people and train them not to stink, and then you can go hang with them.
Yeah, but you have to find the person to make the people with.
I know, and that's why you're watching the podcast.
I wouldn't say children are the answer to a happy relationship.
No, they're the answer to a happy life. Like, you're not going to have a happy life after 45 without at least one roaming around.
You're gonna trigger a lot of people with that.
That's fine. Look, we got to say things. Get mad. Write it in the comments.
He's gonna be the one that helps me get, views, traction. Look, not even. I get traction on my freaking YouTube. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Let's go.
The comments are. I don't know how to like. I talked about this today in my vlog. Our relationship podcast is kind of all over the place, but I brought up how I want to get educated more on cannabis and smoking, and like how I have already been wanting to learn how to intake cannabis without smoking too much and like hurting my lungs and everything. But like every comment is like, oh my gosh, you're gonna get lung cancer. Like, oh my gosh, like lung cancer.
I don't even know if you can say that word. I'm so worried about
I can say lung cancer.
You can say lung cancer?
Yeah, they're commenting it all in my comments. I'm pretty sure I can say it.
If we get canceled for saying lung cancer.
It's literally a disease. If we can't talk about diseases.
Babe, I literally don't know what you can talk about. After COVID, can I say that?
Yes.
Are we allowed to talk about diseases? Because they were banning a lot of people for talking about COVID.
You're making me lose track of what I was saying.
I forgot to.
Yeah, thank you.
We're doomed.
I don't even remember why I started talking. Oh,
because you didn't want lung cancer and people were commenting.
But like, are you commenting that to Willie Nelson and like Snoop Dogg, who have literally been doing it for years, and I've been doing it for 2? Mm-hmm. And this is like it doesn't make me mad. It's funny, like judgment from someone who watches a 15-second video of me, it does not bother me. Like I care about what you think and like what my mini thinks, Exactly. But it's just like I want to be educated more on how to respond to that for other people who also like to participate in jazz cabbage.
Yeah, and like everyone's at a different point in their life and have different goals in the future. And I mean, like, she smokes with my mom, and she's got a really rough cough, and she's not as old as my pops is. And that's just what's going to happen. But she smokes out of this little pipe. It like burns it, and it like torches your throat, and the heat's really bad for you. The tar goes straight through. It's not filtered through water. There's definitely healthier ways to consume it. Speaking of water consumption, there's definitely healthier ways to consume it, because the amount of tar that goes into the water, like, that would be going straight to your lungs. Like, if you're going to smoke, you're not going to be able to avoid smoking at all. It's a smoked product. Now you can eat it, but that turns into a different form of THC, which is a different thing to your body. And like, I never liked edibles when I did use them.
Yeah.
Because I like to go fishing. I like to go hiking. That's what I would do. I would smoke and do those activities like on my summers. So it's just sort of that there's no one perfect solution to anything in life, and you're always making a sacrifice. You're like, every day you don't sleep at the right time, you're also hurting your health, right? And you can take it as seriously or as not seriously as you want, and you have to choose how much enjoyment am I going to get out of life and for how long. Like, what am I willing to suffer through? It's like willing to suffer through not smoking, going to bed at 8 and then waking up at 5 and only eating carrots. Like, who knows what the healthiest thing is? Or are you going to say, I'll have that cookie from time to time, and I'll smoke every now and again, but I'll try to do it in a healthier way. It's like you're taking it in a proactive way. We don't have to be perfect people. I think a world of perfect people makes a world without art too. It's boring. It's gray.
Yeah, the world got very judgmental. It's really sad.
I think it was always judgmental. It was just harder to see it.
It's more accessible.
It's more accessible to judgment, because we got to think about all the other countries in the world and how, like, some of them are very not diverse, right? America and Canada are the two highest diversity countries in the entire world. Some countries have, like, never seen people of other skin tones, right? For instance. So it's like the judgments were there. I mean, countries have been warring since humans existed. They were always judgmental of other people and other classes of financial strata or whatever. Now we just have the internet, so some dude from any country in the world can comment on your thing.
Yeah.
And cultures are different too. And it's not that their culture is wrong because they've gotten this far through human history, but it's not that they're right for us either. Like, you can't just accept other people's cultures are right.
Nobody's like right or wrong in the world.
I think we're allowed to say people are wrong with our point of view. Like, to say it's overarchingly wrong, no, but I mean, like, Germans started 2 world wars. We can kind of all sort of agree that was wrong, but it might not have been wrong, but we should still, as a whole, kind of agree that that was a pretty bad move.
Yeah, I think I was like talking about like it differently, but I didn't say it right. So, but that's okay.
Yeah. And I also don't get stuff right all the time, but that's communication for y'all. If we could just swap brains.
So like back to like relationships, I feel like a nice technique is sometimes you can communicate something and it won't, like, I'm trying to think of how to say it, come out right or be taken in right. And like sometimes you have to find different ways to communicate or like say that thing, and like patience is like a really big thing. It's like trying not to get so upset or have a reaction right away to something, I think is important.
Yeah, there's one thing we noticed too, right, is that as much as people don't want to hear it, right, guys and girls think a little bit differently about things. And I can't say just guys and girls, maybe just masculine, feminine, maybe left and right brain. There's a lot of different ways to say it, but different personalities think differently than other people. And a lot of times personalities that mesh are like the yin and yang. They're different. It's not yin and yang. It's not yang and yang. They get along really well. It's yin and yang. They're different. And you have to know, it's like one person might only want solutions and the other person only want comfort. And you're like, we're not talking the same language, so they feel not heard, even though you heard them, because you're not expressing that you understood their feeling. And it's like, I'm not going to get your feeling how you feel it. I know what sad is. I've been it. I know what mad is. I've been it. But I'm like not going to feel the same way about a thing as you do. How do I fix the problem? And that could make you more upset. Yeah. And it's just kind of acknowledging that these differences do exist with you and your partner and saying that's totally fine that they exist. Acknowledge it, but then come up with a plan of action for the next time. You know, if there's something that triggers you or that irritates you, like one thing is if she gets really anxious, she'll like shut down. And it makes it really difficult for me to handle the situation. It was really tough for me. And so we said, hey, please just tell me, because we'll just get it over with real quick. And then we can get back to it, because then it's not going to build up and be this whole thing. And it's emotionally driven.
And that took a couple times of him telling me that for me to finally tell you right away.
And then even sometimes it can be tough. But it's gotten a lot better. And it's not just that. I can't think of a time when there's something I do, but I know there's stuff I do that irritates her that we've, like you say, hey, do this next time that happens. And then it's just off the top of my head. It's not that I'm perfect.
Yeah, like we would have issues with like learning how to do stuff with Minnie and her homework. And we were learning how to work with her and stuff, and so we were just trying different ways, and it's brand new for both of us. And so like we would, you know, if he would do something I didn't like, I would just communicate that with him, and then he would like catch it and like acknowledge it. Or even if he did it again next time, say,
just
remind, yeah, instead
Yeah.
of like just getting mad again, and then it's a whole fight, and then it's a whole
It doesn't
thing,
need
and
to
then you
be, yeah.
shut down, and everyone's night's ruined. And like I hated always like ruining like the day and like the night
Mhm.
because I like one silly little thing, and then like couldn't, just so stubborn, couldn't go back from it. Just
Mhm.
like, oh, I don't miss those days.
They can even go back to a podcast that was called The Worst Podcast. And we were having a tough day. We were over it. Like, we loved each other. It was very mild. It wasn't like a fight. You know?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like it had to
Someone
grow.
said they were like, wow, like that was like the most calm fight or like calm argument I've ever seen. Like two Pisces having an argument.
It's because we don't fight like that. We want to come to an agreement, and sometimes you won't. And that's another thing to accept, is you will not just agree on things. If everyone was right all the time, I guarantee you'd be in a bigger house, right? You would have gotten everything right all the time. You'd have made all the right business decisions.
Yeah, because sometimes he would be saying a way that he would want to teach Minnie, and I wouldn't like it, and I wouldn't agree, and I wouldn't think that's right because I'm not used to it, or for whatever reason.
But then she would get
eventually
A's.
it would work, right? And then
Yeah.
it's like,
Oh, maybe
I
they
have
were
to
right.
like finally get used to like this person.
And then vice versa. I'm not right all the time. It's like, look, this is going to work. And then it went from homework trouble to we don't ever do that type of work with her. And she gets straight A's on it. She gets honor roll all the time, because there were nights it was like,
Miserable.
write a book, like literally repeat writing the word until you're sick of it. And she hated it because it was so stressful, and she was so upset because she had to do it. And I'm like, you don't get to leave until you get all of these right.
And then that would make me upset.
And then
the
she
whole
would get
house is
upset, and then she would get upset that they were upset, and it was like a whole mess. But then it just became, okay, so what's the solution going to be for next time? And we said, she was like, I'm just going to sit in the other room, and then you do it, because then she can't cry and look at me and make me cry and then defend her, and then she's like, back, you know, it's not going to happen. I'm just going to sit in the room. You're going to do it. Homework times kept dropping because she's like, look, the more I complain and like just don't write the word, like it wasn't like she was getting in trouble for writing it wrong. It was, she was getting in trouble for not just putting the pen to paper and just putting letters down and saying them out loud. Like, she just didn't want to do the work. It's not that she was, it was like difficult work. She just didn't want to do it. And so
yeah,
it was
now
like, we'll
y'all,
stay here.
it's like night and day how different she is. with
Oh yeah,
homework.
because she's like, look, the longer I sit here and don't just put the pen to the paper, the longer I'm going to be here. And it might take an hour, it might take 2, and she's gotten like, he's not going to let me go until this is done, so I'm just going to do it. And it might be wrong, and that's fine. She never gets in trouble for being wrong.
Right.
How do you learn? You should be wrong. If you're right at everything, you're not in a difficult enough class. You should move up one. So, no, it's not that. It's just write it down. Write it down. And she got it. So it really does help to have like a stern hand there. But then also, she's a little girl. She doesn't learn like how I learned. I'm from the woods. I was a fisherman guy, you know, that's where I was raised. So I'm like rough, tough, falling out of things, cutting stuff with axes and chainsaws, you know, making campfires. Like, that's what we did. So it's like, there wasn't as much of the, oh, you know, here, let's take care of your emotions, even though my parents were hippies, so I got more than some of the woodsmen did, probably. But
you did, because, yeah, you're good with them being emotional.
And, but she's really good with her emotions and being really kind and accepting, like, what she's doing, and it helps her calm down. And, like, for me, it's like, just do it. But then she's like, no, she needs time to relax. So that's something that we could talk about. And so it's like, both of you could be right, both of you could be wrong, even. And so there's no point in being like, I'm adamant on this. Just say, I'm doing this today. I'm doing this now. It's already done. You know, if I was already firm, it's like, it's already done for today. But let's come up with a way for next time to do it better. And sometimes I would forget. And then we would have a chat and be like, you said you would do this. And then, oh yeah. And then I would remember. Or, hey, let's go talk to mom right away. Like, if something started to get tough and it was an emotional thing, I would just go bring her to mom, and then it'd be better, you know, so we can just learn that.
Used each other's strengths and
and just
learned each other's
accepted.
weaknesses and stuff.
And we're still not perfect. And that's what makes the relationship great, is that we can never just swap minds and know everything. And so it's always going to be a constant, and it's not a struggle. It's really wonderful. I love learning new things and being able to push myself to be a better version of myself. Like, I find I can be really crass and accidentally rude to people with no intent. And so that's something I'm currently working on. So she helps catch me in that, you know, so that's something we do. And that's something I think every relationship should do. And I think every relationship is definitely different, though. I mean, you might get two people who are just hotheads, and maybe your scenario is we just need to go to other rooms and then text each other, because you might write this very angry thing you can't
reread
take back
it to yourself
and say, I really don't want to say that because this is the person I love. And I'm just going to delete it and say, I love you. And then you just go back to the same room because you realize it was petty, right?
Yeah.
So we can't say our strategies are going to help you. We just know that there are strategies out there that can help you build a relationship. And remember, make the goal, what does it look like being in a relationship for 50 years? If I'm locked in for 50 years, what do I have to do? What do I have to overcome? What do I have to sacrifice? And accept that you're going to have to make that sacrifice and make it the best version that you can do. And you're going to be way happier giving more to your partner than needing everything to be perfect from them. I don't want the perfect wife. I want a perfect partner. You know, she doesn't want Prince Charming just to come and sweep her way and make everything perfect. She wants a perfect partner to work with her, I would hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that.
That's that.
That's that. It'd be cool if we could do some of these live as well. We're working on getting our stream deck and stuff where we can actually like put questions and everything up on the computer and
we have
like
to just
put it
spend
through the computer.
a weekend probably and just test run it, because we have to figure out how to get from the camera to stream to.
Yeah, because there's an output port on it over there, and I can swing it over to this computer, and then we could have the computer running that, and then I can put the LUT into OBS just like we did with the other camera, and you can make a scene, and then I think you can
They're like, what are y'all talking about?
Oh yeah, we went way technical. We went from relationships straight into how to make this better for you guys. But I think it'd be great to actually funnel some people's real questions.
Yeah, and that's why I try to keep implementing comments. So when y'all comment on our stuff, I'll be going back through them and reading them. I know I don't have any right now, but we would love to start getting comments and questions, topics, certain, like, you can like write down like your like a little short story, like if you need advice on something, you know, just like little things like that would be fun. So
yeah, one of the podcasts I like is To Be Better. They seem like they're pretty cool, and what they do is they get big emails and she reads through it, and he puts his comment in, and then she puts her comment in, and that way they both have time to talk without like hogging the mic. Yeah, and it gives her plenty of airtime and him plenty of airtime, and then that together time, then they talk about their situation.
Yeah, I've never watched their podcast so I'd have to check it out more.
I think they definitely have a different relationship than we have, but that's again a beautiful part about it, is like any relationship can be how you want it to be.
But I do eventually want to figure out like segments. I was thinking of that earlier, like having different segments in our show. Like we would have a Q&A segment, and like, I don't know, maybe I'd have like a jazz cabbage segment where I'm like, I don't know,
getting jazzy, talking cannabeezy.
Yeah, like the top news, like maybe a pop culture segment if we want.
I think we should. I think we need to do a pop culture segment just because like that's what gets people loaded. Remember I was telling you about that business earlier where an 18-year-old got $300,000 in investment, and then they just booked Andrew Huberman and it 20x'd their money.
But I think we should could we talk about pop culture and like people that we care about instead of people we don't care about?
Yeah, but like, there's pop culture in almost anything.
Like Trisha Paytas.
They talk about people we don't know. They're B-listers, but that's fine. It's still, it hits a big enough audience.
Trisha Paytas did her gender reveal, and they're having a baby girl, and I thought that was cool. And you want to guess the name? Her first daughter's name is Malibu Barbie.
Oh my God! How am
I love her.
Guess?
You better be nice.
No, I mean, how am I gonna guess? That's not
You're never gonna guess.
Oh.
That's the fun and joy of this game. You're never gonna guess.
Malibu Barbie.
That's her. That's the first name, but it literally has no reference.
Wait, that's the first name is Malibu Barbie?
That's the first child's name.
Oh. I was like, that's two names in the first name.
Baby girl's name.
I'm trying to think. I've now forgot all names that exist in the lexicon.
So you have to like think
American
Trisha
names.
Paytas, like out there, like unique, like. And I know her more than you, so.
Yeah.
You want me to just tell you?
Yeah.
Elvis.
It's a girl.
Yeah. She said no matter what. I love her so much. She said no matter what, she's gonna name it Elvis. Boy or girl. Well, at the time, it's an it.
It wasn't it. Yeah. It was in there.
That's a she.
It was.
But congrats to her. I think that's so cool. Congrats to her, Moses.
We do. We love y'all. But that's the thing. Is like, look, they don't have to talk about, you know, A-list in the news all the time stuff. You know, you can talk about some pretty obscure things. Like H3 talks about all these like goons on YouTube.
Yeah, and then he eventually gets them on the show and stuff.
Yeah,
sometimes.
And so like it becomes a better thing. It's better to get like a B-lister on your podcast than to talk about A-listers and never get them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, people want to see real stuff.
But like,
which we could do. I mean, that one
for.
Lady did it.
Right.
She like literally just reached out to somebody and they bought Shure mics.
If she really didn't have any connections, but like, who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? But the point is, they had Shure mics, and that's all I know is that we need those too, or we'll never be taken seriously.
The Shure mics.
They're $500 a pop.
Okay, go to the Shure.
That doesn't even have all the other parts to them.
Okay, you guys. I think we've been talking for a good while, and it's kind of gone a little crazy.
Oh, we're haywire. Yeah, just for relationships, like here's one thing too. I mean, we could have a segment. Because we get this a lot where people talk about the guys that they're currently dating, and it's like they're just not compatible people. They're not at the right stage of life, you know? And they'll try to play games, and they'll talk about the games they play, and we're just trying to give them advice. It's like, just move on and do this. Like, you're at a prime opportunity to go. If you really want to meet a partner, then you can't play the games because the partner you want don't want to play those games. Like the person you want to have a relationship with, if you pictured yourself with them for 20 years, are you still playing the games? If the answer is no, then why are you even dealing with people you need to play games with? Like you're going to find a good person and to accept them where they're at. Like why do they need to be perfect already?
Yeah, that's going to be like really hard to find. It's like what do you want? If you're younger, do you want someone who's already like older and successful? And like,
but then you have to deal
your
with that.
idea of what you want already. Like you want the job and the money and everything out like already,
but
right?
Then you don't get the time.
Yeah, you don't get the time. You don't get to grow with the person, you know, and or like you get to be younger and you meet someone your age, and then you guys have to figure out how to build together and build your empire together.
That's us. We slept on the floor together. Like we started on the floor. Everybody. That's where we were.
And we're very grateful. And like he's worked hard and has a really good job. It's just, you know, we want to be like happy and together and
do this kind of work. It's like meaningful work too.
So meaningful. It can be so meaningful.
I pictured my life in like 30, 40 years, and I was like, if I was doing what I was doing and I was at the top of my field, I'd be an excellent engineer and I would be able to make very adequate money, but the amount of lives I could impact is just not what I want. I want to be able
already
to
like I think
great.
Christmas was a really magical moment because like we got to like be there for people who had nobody else on Christmas and like play games and do Secret Santa, like do a whole thing.
There's a Boom Unity and it's like a community and people all get together and they did a Secret Santa and it was just really wonderful because I mean I was homeless for a time too. I mean I know how hard it can be to just not have someone there with you. And the world is a much harder place than it used to be, and with COVID and everything it's harder than ever to get to know people, and then people are so judgmental anymore. You might go out and shoot your shot just to make friends and not be able to find them, you know. So the internet can be a safe space for you to like maybe develop those skills and get that reinforcement that you are allowed to go outside and meet these people and maybe find places to meet them. You might not want to meet somebody at a bar. We we don't even go there anymore. We wouldn't want to meet somebody there. So
I think we should wrap this episode up though.
All right, we got to get the wrap it up.
We could have a lot to talk about for relationships. I think that'd be cool, but yeah. So there's definitely a lot of positive messages in this episode for y'all. So good fun.
It's like tough to laugh on your 50th time, like every day.
Yeah, it's okay. Maybe it makes them laugh. Maybe they're doing it and it makes them happy.
Okay, everybody, when you do your guffaw therapy, you're just supposed to say guffaw.
Can we redefine what guffaw means?
It means laughter. If you don't know what guffaw
like
means,
boisterous laugh or something.
It means a boisterous laugh. See, it does work. Just defining the word guffaw works. Guffaw.
Yeah, sometimes you got to really dig deep for your guffaw.
You got to go for it. It's not just saying the word. The word has no meaning. It's just how goofy you sound when you say it.
Not what you say, it's how you say it.
Guffaw.
All right. I love you guys. I love y'all. We're going to get going.
Later.
Peace.